to its Google Earth app, one of John's favorites. We're joined now by Daniel Bader, managing editor of Android Central.
I think Google Earth is like the stupidest app ever, to be honest with you. I think that, like, why somebody would use Google Earth instead of Google Maps, unless you're building a freighter, is like.
Well, Daniel, based off of John's question, what do you think? What's your response to that? Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, Google Earth lost its relevance years ago once Google Maps sort of took over all of its big features. And I think last November, when Google announced a VR version of Google Earth for the HTC Vive platform, that was really the indication of where the future of Google Earth will be.
Okay, so they have a big event on April 18th, possibly talking about the update. So what else do you expect to happen at this event?
Right, so there's not a whole lot known, but I mean, let's talk about the obvious things here. We know that Google Earth is this, it's a way to represent the world in 3 dimensions. Google launched its Daydream VR platform last year with the Google Pixel, and it's making a big push into virtual reality. So if that's, if those stars align, we're looking at a new version of Google Earth that's going to be optimized for the Daydream platform, which is really cheap. Unlike HTC Vive, which is still up to a $600–700, you need a really powerful computer to run it. The Daydream headset is like $80, and it works with a bunch of phones, including Google's own Pixels.
I don't see it. Daniel, I just don't see it. I mean, I have the Pixel, I have the Daydream headset, I had the Oculus Rift. It's just so. I want to believe that this is going to be a thing, but I have no line of sight to this being something that anybody wants to use.
Yeah, I agree. To be honest with you, I don't really use it very much. I think that this is something that Google is going to be it's going to be very challenging for Google to promote virtual reality as a natural evolution.
And also, exactly, and you know something, I'm about as geeky as it gets. There's not a gadget that I don't like. And I think, and I'm always hesitant to say something is going to be a fizzle, but I think that this product is just an utter disappointment. I think Oculus is an utter disappointment, and there's no way where I can see it. And I have a pretty good vision for seeing crappy things and seeing what they can become. I don't see this.
Well, on that note, why do you, because it is, as John mentions, such a disappointing property, why do you think it took them so long to overhaul the app and fix this? That way a lot of people's perspective, like John's, would have changed.
I mean, look at this. I mean, who would want to do this? This is just like, great. You can spin yourself around the Eiffel Tower. Who cares?
Well, so there are avid travelers who love this stuff, and I know a bunch of people who really do and find a lot of joy from these experiences. And there is a sort of a practical side to it as well. If you're going to a city, you want to learn about it a little bit beforehand. But all of that is really done in Google Maps these days. And the core of Google Maps app is absolutely indispensable to most people.
But Daniel, why did it take so long? Why did it take so long for them to update this?
Because they had nothing to do. I mean, there was nothing to do with it until VR became a mainstream proposition. And at this point, they have so few ways to promote Daydream as an advantage over, say, Gear VR, which is Samsung's version, or even Oculus Rift and HTC Vive. I just don't know there is that much more to do at this point other than make, grade A tier
with on the Pixel, how well is the Pixel doing? I actually have one. I think it's pretty impressive. I find Android difficult to use, but I think the Pixel is very, very well done.
You know what? So from Google's perspective, I think it's doing super well. I think from the overall market's perspective, 4 or 5 million units sold, maybe not as well as sort of the mainstream estimates would have liked. But for a first-time phone from a company that's never made its own hardware before, with one carrier partner in the U.S., it's doing really well.
Daniel, we only have just a little bit of time with you, so really quickly, we saw Google Earth was featured in Lion, which was an Oscar-nominated film.
In which movie?
Lion, which was a great movie.
Okay, yeah.
Did this bring some good attention for the app? Was that the whole purpose behind the marketing in that?
Well, it took him like 4 years to find the place. Yeah, I mean, look, I think it did some good. Google Earth hasn't had a lot of great PR over the last few years, but I don't know if that had much to do with it. I mean, this was back in 2008. The movie came out last year and gave it a little bit of a push. But Google Earth has moved so far beyond what it was back in 2008. This is going to be something completely different.
Daniel Boehner, managing editor over at Android Central. Thank you so very much.
You know what I think is so unbelievable? We have Nihal Mehta here from ENIAC. He just raised a new fund. Nihal, did they tell you no jeans and sneakers?
He's clearly violating the Nazi dress code.
It is unbelievable somebody can raise a $100 million venture fund and 15 emails with all caps. No sneak. Come here.
Yeah, bring him over here.
Look what he looks like. Look at this.
Thrown out of this.
No sneak. Actually, you know something?
Yep.
$100 million. The guy cannot listen to basic instructions.
Right, he's got a lot of money. Coming up, guys, a venture firm investing only in mobile technologies. We're going to get to that. But first, the pizza industry's fight against calorie labels. Take a look.